Wouldn't it be great to have a fancy steak dinner with all the trimmings in less than 45 minutes and from just one pan and with just 5 ingredients? Let's do this. Hey, I'm Claire Tansey. I'm the author of the cookbook Uncomplicated. I believe that everyone can cook, and I'm here to share my go-to recipes to make your cooking that much easier, more fun, and more delicious. This is London Broil with oven roasted potatoes and asparagus. Doesn't that sound like a fancy restaurant dinner? So here are the 5 ingredients that it takes. A steak, this is a flank steak, a bag of potatoes, little baby potatoes, some asparagus, a couple of lemons, and some fresh parsley. London broil refers to any kind of steak cut that has been broiled instead of, say, being pan fried. It's typically done with something like a flank steak, which is a little bit less expensive. So that's what I'm using today, about a pound of flank steak. But first, I gotta start with the potatoes. So I'm gonna put some tin foil on my baking sheet here, and I'm using tin foil, not parchment, because I'm gonna broil this later and I don't want the parchment to burn. Now that that's ready and the oven's preheated to about 400 degrees, I'm gonna take my potatoes. So I like to use these little baby potatoes. I don't wanna peel them, they're nicely washed, but I do wanna make sure that I cut them in half, just so that they speed up the cooking time a little bit. So I'll cut each one in half and then toss it right onto that prepared baking sheet. So I've got all these potatoes on the baking sheet. I'm gonna add a little bit of canola oil, a little bit of salt, and then get them started cooking. They take the longest to cook, so I'm going to get them cooking while I prep the rest of the ingredients. Give them a little toss right here on the pan. Make sure everyone is kind of got some oil on it. Now I'm just gonna sprinkle them with a little bit of salt. Oh, this is already looking so good. Yum. Now these are gonna go into the oven for 15 minutes and start cooking while I prep the other ingredients. Next up is the steak. So I'm using this flank steak, not a huge one. This is about a half of a flank steak. I'm just gonna put some cross hatches in it to kind of speed up the cooking and make it a little bit more attractive. So that just means I'm gonna take my knife and kind of cross hatch it, which really just means scoring it. It's not a deep cut. It's only like, I don't know, what is that, a couple of millimeters? I don't even know, just a little bit. Do it one way and then do it exactly a right angle the other way. So it kind of looks like little squares coming across. Of course, this is going to need salt as well. So I'm going to sprinkle it with salt nicely on both sides. The reason I cross hatch it is to speed up the cooking a little bit, to let the salt penetrate a little bit more, and also it just kind of looks cool. Next up is the asparagus. So I'm going to trim off the really woody bits at the end here. And, some of these look a little bit kind of thick and woody at the bottom. So just grab your vegetable peeler and peel off a little bit of the bottom. This isn't necessary, it just gets rid of some of that fibrous stuff that can, get stuck in your teeth. Okay, so now for my secret sauce. Not so much of a sauce, more of a topping, fresh parsley and lemon zest. I know that doesn't sound too exciting, but oh my gosh, it will spark up steak, chicken, pasta. If you have a dish that really needs a little bit of va-va-voom, this is the topping you need to know. Handful of fresh parsley. Could be Italian, could be curly. I love them both. Happen to have Italian here. So nice big handful. I feel like I'm not grabbing big enough handfuls here. There's a good handful. So I'm just gonna rip off the top stems. Okay, now chop. Parsley is very, very satisfying to chop. Oh yeah. Just don't chop your fingers. The potatoes have been cooking for about 15 minutes, which means they're half done. Now it's time to add the steak and crank on the broiler. Oh yeah, these already smell so good. If you think this is gonna be good, hit the like button. I'm going to move one of the oven racks under the broiler. And turning on the broiler. Let's make a little room for this steak here. Just move some of these guys over. Oh, smells so good. They kind of smell a little bit like French fries. Oh yeah, look at that. This guy right in the middle. Now I'm gonna cook this to be about medium, just a hint of medium rare, but more medium rare. And that's gonna take about 10 minutes total under the broiler. I'm gonna flip it over halfway. If any of these potatoes are getting a little too dark, you can always just turn them over and they'll get toasted on the other side. So this steak needs to rest. Very, very important step here. So I'm gonna take the steak off, let it rest on the cutting board. Go. But now I'm going to add the asparagus to the pan. On there, and I'll toss it around a bit to kind of pick up the salt and oil that's still left on the pan. Now listen, this potato is getting too dark. I'm just going to go ahead and take him off the pan. If there are any others that are clearly getting too dark, just take them out. Because you don't want burnt potatoes, you want delicious potatoes. Just 5 more minutes under the broiler, and this one-pan dinner is ready to go. And if you love one-pan dinners, make sure you check out my one-pan chicken fajitas. You will never make fajitas any other way again. The steak has rested for about 5 minutes. I could leave it for another 10, that would be totally fine, but I'm hungry, let's eat. The potatoes are tender, the asparagus is bright and tender crisp. I'm going to plate this whole affair, and it's important with a flank steak or a London broil, you always serve it sliced. You never just serve a big hunk of it. In order to be tender, you have to slice it against the grain. Let me show you what I mean. So you see how there are little lines running along the steak there? That is the grain of the meat. So in order to make flank steak tender, I have to slice against the grain. So I'm going to turn it kind of halfway here, and then cut nice, thin little slices. Ooh, hot. So you can see that this is a quite, that's really medium through there, so that's quite pink, which is delicious for flank steak. Of course, if you wanted it a little bit darker than that, just leave it under the broiler for another couple of minutes. There it is, a steak dinner with all the trimmings in less than 45 minutes. I'm just going to sprinkle the steak with my secret sauce, like so. People are going to love this. You can pass a little bit more of this sauce at the table. And of course, some little lemon wedges. Oh my gosh, I want to eat this. Good news, because I can. Lemon wedges there we go. For the full recipe, click the link below. Now make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell because coming up next, I have the most unbelievable creamy baked gnocchi mac and cheese. You are not gonna wanna miss that one. And if you do like one-pan dinners, make sure you check out these other great recipes I've got. And remember, life is complicated. Cooking shouldn't be. Happy cooking.